I believe our country is ready to heal. And the process of healing begins with acceptance, unity, extreme forgiveness, and coming together as one. There have been more than 300 devastating mass shootings this year. Far too many people are addicted to opioids, alcohol, sex, social media, and other harmful habits that ultimately serve to detach us. I share my deepest sympathy with those affected by these events. Under no circumstances should our innocent children and loved ones be subjected to violence, addiction, and crimes of hate. I understand the fear for young ones going to school in the morning under added security just to go to an environment to learn and grow. I share my concern with all of you who fear their basic rights are being taken away. There is no moral justification for these actions, but there is a way forward. We must forgive, heal, and evolve together. I have a vision where we become a country of one, where we fully embrace as a world, as a nation, that we are stronger together. And I've actually seen this work, so I know it's possible. I traveled to Denver earlier this year to attend an annual conference for volunteers. I'm not a part of that group, but I was invited to speak on inclusion, diversity, equity, and access, which forms the acronym IDEA. I arrived in Denver the day before my presentation and took the opportunity to meet the participants, observe, listen, and mingle. As I navigated the venue, I could feel the energy of those around me. The event frequency was extraordinarily high. As I stood and observed, I also noticed something that was absolutely remarkable. There was an eclectic assembly of volunteers. The demographics of the participants spanned decades to include Generation Z, Millennials, Generation X, Baby Boomers, and of course, the silent generation. But it gets even better. They all seemed to know each other, and they were genuinely delighted to be reunited, to be back in person. They greeted one another in the hallways, and I listened as they discussed everything from dinner plans to life during COVID to the volunteer efforts they were doing to help build and make their communities great. They were stronger together, and I very much appreciated their strength and diversity and their esprit de corps. It also served as resounding proof that this works, that we are more powerful when we are and stronger when we are together. So naturally, I couldn't help but wonder, what would it take to manifest this on a greater scale? It was such a beautiful experience to witness that I shared with them as I opened my presentation. I told them they are a pure reflection of the vision, that they inspired, that remarkable group inspired the design of this slide. We are a country of one. So let's talk about what unites us. So often I hear citizens refer to our Declaration of Independence and the U.S. Constitution, that both documents guarantee us certain rights. So I found myself reading both documents again, but not through a historical lens, but through the lens of inclusion, diversity, equity, and access. The Declaration of Independence was signed July 4th, 1776, and the U.S. Constitution was ratified in 1787. 18th century American writings were influenced by British Enlightenment thinkers and writings of the same period. They're vastly different than how we might write or speak today. But let's look at some of the language our founding fathers intentionally used. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all people are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I mean, how incredible is that? It is our given right to pursue happiness. Let's continue. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty, etc., etc., etc. This is about everyone. This is about we the people. This is about justice, domestic tranquility, common defense for all citizens, promote the general welfare. Our nation's founding motto was E pluribus unum, Latin for out of many, one. Our founding documents and our founding motto place us on an arc of moral progress towards oneness, and it's all grounded in idea, in inclusion, diversity, equity, and access. Let's look at some of the language the founding fathers intentionally used. We, the people of the United States. Well, let's translate that. For me, that means diversity and human dignity. In order to form a more perfect union, that's inclusion, that's freedom. Establish justice and ensure domestic tranquility, that's equity. That's equity. Promote the general welfare, that's access, that's the A in idea. Secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. That's justice, that's family values. Do ordain this Constitution, that's E pluribus unum. When 13 colonies came together to form the United States, because they knew that despite their differences, they were stronger together. I've been using this next slide for about 5 to 6 years. But as I move through life, as I learn, as I experience more, as I listen to people and what they go through, this slide takes on such a greater meaning. I believe the arc of moral progress is this collective shift from a fear-based mind to a mind of love. When I present this in person, I begin by drawing a horizontal line. And above it, I write the word love. Below it, I write fear. And then I ask the audience for words that are synonymous with love and synonymous with fear. Let's start with love. Typically when I do this, I'll get words like harmony, kind, empathy, trust. And I always include conscious. Then let's go to fear. So we write fear down. And again, I ask for words that are synonymous with fear. And I typically get hate, anger, ego, pride, jealousy. I mean, there's a lot that people give me. But I always include drifting. Every day we wake up and throughout the day, we have to make the choice. Will we reside above the line or below the line? And I know through my personal experience that it doesn't take much to find yourself drifting below that line. There are many triggers. There are large triggers such as senseless killings, but there are smaller ones too. It could be the thoughtless actions of a family member, a friend, a coworker, a colleague, a complete stranger, or even a rude or reckless driver that just gets your morning off to a bad start. It requires great self-awareness and emotional intelligence and a conscious mind to bring yourself back up above that line. You know, I recall this comical allegory that appears in many forms, but I call it the keys of wisdom. The story begins with a person that's desperately searching for their keys, and they're looking for them in this well-lit room. I mean, the sun is shining in there. A person's looking for their keys, and a friend approaches and asks, "What are you looking for?" "My keys." "Where did you lose them?" "Somewhere over there." "Then why aren't you looking over there, and why are you looking here?" "Because it's dark over there." So often we look for solutions in the light, but we don't come to grip with the dark. In order for us to collectively advance on the arc of moral progress and unite the union of opposites, we must first search deep within our own souls. Does everyone believe all people are created equal? Well, we know the answer is no. Not everyone believes that. Emotional intelligence begins with great self-awareness. I, Harvey Johnson, must first search the depths of my soul. Am I below the line, and if so, where? Am I angry? Am I jealous? Does my ego get in the way? My pride get in the way? Do I judge people? What's my role as a basic human being and citizen to stand up for human rights? I often use the word oneness, and someone once asked what I meant by it. Well, I learned from an enlightened teacher that if we study the human body, we know we're complex structures comprised of an infinite number of cells. Each cell is called to serve a higher purpose: a lung cell, a heart cell, skin cells, and so forth. When a cell or group of cells ignores its higher calling and becomes maladaptive, we call that cancer. Well, I look upon our global population in the same manner. When a person or a group of people become maladaptive, when they're no longer performing to their higher purpose, when they are operating below the line, they too become cancerous to the greater good. The Declaration of Independence, the U.S. Constitution, and our founding model all start the arc of moral progress towards oneness. We are no doubt witnessing an era of change. I believe it's inevitable. We are a country that is absolutely striving for inclusion, diversity, equity, and access. A country whereby every person is guaranteed the right to become their higher self. We have to identify and remove institutional and systemic barriers that inhibit equity for all people. It's okay to be different, but we need to unite the union of opposites, or as Aristotle put it, where the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. We are all human beings first, brought together by our common humanity for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We need an awakening. We need a call to action for world leaders, world healers, and extreme radical forgiveness. Dr. Martin Luther King had a dream, a powerful dream, a dream that he shared with our nation. He shared it with the world. That's exactly what we need today. We need people who are inspired to dream and manifest their reality, a kind reality. 2 years ago, I was interviewed by a listener poet. What a great job. I thought, wow, a listener poet. I couldn't turn down that opportunity because I was just curious what that meant. Well, Miss Jenny Heglin was the listener poet, and she interviewed me. And after that interview, she turned my words into a poem. And I thought, this is really neat. But now what do I do with it? Well, I would come to realize that this was, in fact, the beginning of my dream. This was the world I wanted to see. This is the world I want to manifest. Let me share it. The world I see is the world I want it to be. I see a world where people are physically and psychologically safe. I see communities that fairly represent the diversity of our world. I see communities that are inclusive. I see a world where not only doctors, but all of us find our purpose in helping to heal fellow human beings. I see a world where we're asking, what about cultural health, as much as we're taking physical temperatures? I see a world where all people are accepted and included. I see a world where people are free to innovate, not trapped by dogma. I see a world with less structure, hierarchy, rules, more openness, inclusion, principles, acceptance. I see a scientific world, an intelligent world, a world that's evolving, transforming, progressing into alignment. I see us awakening, reimagining, reemerging from our slumber into our role in a new civil rights era. Always walking in kindness, we've got this. Stronger together, e pluribus unum, out of many, one. Thank you for listening to me.